Hey guys, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me once again. So there was a leak yesterday for the Burning Crusades Classic. It was actually leaked by Blizzard themselves. They actually posted it prematurely one day earlier. Everybody picked up on it, which was really funny. I did wait for the date of for it to be official before I decided to actually post anything. But yeah, it is official. BC Classic is here, which well, thankfully will give us a lot to look forward to when it comes to BC. For the simple purpose that they're actually giving us the option to be able to transfer to the Burning Crusades or continuing with Classic, like what we're actually playing right now, which is such a wonderful idea. Like I know there's some YouTubers that kind of already called it on that, so props to you guys. But hey, look, I mean, this is awesome. I loved the Burning Crusades. Bring you flying mounts, new bosses, new enemies, a lot of new gear. The flying mounts was a great idea. In some cases, I know there's some people that are calling it the beginning of the end of what they knew as World of Warcraft, which, yeah, okay. I could definitely see that because there was no more need to kind of explore. You could just go from point A to point B, or you can just, if you're a druid, that was so amazing. They would just fly on top of an enemy. Uh, I don't know, like a base, or sometimes you would be questing with friends and they would just fly on top of you and they would just fall from the sky, shape shift into bears, and just charge right into you and just kill you all. Like so many insane things that were going on through BC. It was it was really interesting to see. So for anyone that didn't actually go through and play the original Burning Crusade, well, this is why I'm making this video. This is for you guys. So you have a lot of pros and cons when it comes to the Burning Crusades. So one of them that is a con. I know I'm starting with the negatives first, but it's the first thing that comes to mind when I'm thinking of BC is the attunement. That attunement was just absolutely hell. I mean, I'm sure you've all heard of the insanely long quest chains to actually get a tune for a raid. But think of it, it actually gets worse because in some cases, you might need a flying mount. And let me now let me remind you here that a flying mount is a grind all to itself. It's a whole new beast altogether. So in some cases, you would not be able to do the attunement, or if you're lucky enough, you will only have it on one character simply because the process was so treacherous. It was so long. It's the first thing that comes to mind, but the really the quest chains were unbelievable. It almost felt like you were trying to get a legendary weapon like Thunder Fury or something. And yes, I have actually went and done the quest chain for Thunder Fury. So I do have something to compare it to. It was really that bad. Now, talking about dungeons and raids, I mean, the biggest thing here for me, although going into the Black Temple was something else, I don't know. I always found myself really looking back and thinking, Karazhan. Looking back and thinking, Caverns of Time, or even more than that, going through Silver Moon and Quel'Thalas and actually seeing the scar that Arthas left behind before going into the Sunwell. I mean, that just screamed Warcraft 3 for me. I absolutely loved it. One piece of advice I can give you guys is don't get stuck in grinding for mats when it comes to professions. So professions were great. I'll get into it a little bit later on, but the grinds with some of these items was just unbelievable. Um, Looking back at, I believe it was called the Shadow Weaver, um, for tailoring when it came to casters. Great set, epic set, amazing. The grind for that was absolutely spectacular. I'm gonna have it. I'm gonna display it here on the screen for you guys. But it was so treacherous as well that by the time you actually manage to get this item, well, now you're also attuned for a number of raids, which kind of is, it's kind of taking a back seat now. So you spend all this time for for you to use it for maybe a handful of times, and that's pretty much it. I found it very useful, looking back at the professions, because they did have a lot of new items for almost every single one of the classes. Uh, the profession, sorry, they had a lot of new gear, a lot of things for you to aim for, which was a huge improvement. Plus, at the same time, they also came out with jewel crafting, so you can actually go craft your own gems, so you can be able to equip it in your gear, right? So great new things there when it comes to BC, and I am excited to go in and play it. The biggest thing for me when it comes to the Burning Crusades is the races. So you have two new races. You have the Blood Elves, you have the Draenei, which, at least in my opinion, they do have some of the best racials in the game. Notably, I would say more the Blood Elves because of the silence. So for all of you that never had the opportunity to play a Blood Elf in the Burning Crusades, they had a silence. So you had a silence for a racial, on top of all your rest of your crowd control. Let's just say that this is not something that you'll see on modern day WoW, right? So Blood Elves were one of the best uh, races at the time, and some of the best starting zones as well. I mean, going into Silver Moon for the first time, that beautiful castle, the colors, just, if you go inside and it's so alive. It was really beautiful. And it did bring up, pardon me, some additional changes that it worked for the better or worse. I mean, I have kind of mixed feelings about it. This is the first time that the Alliance was actually able to have the Shamans and the Horde, the Paladins. So if you guys recall, which you should if you've been playing Classic WoW right now, the Alliance could not roll a Shaman class, and the Horde could not have Paladins. But in the Burning Crusades, that was the first time that now the opposite faction can also do it as well. I have mixed feelings about that, just for the sole purpose that it feels like it took away something from the faction's uniqueness, right? Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love playing my Blood Elf Pally. It was really an awesome class just because you were able to kind of stun them, silence them over and over, and you almost felt like a rogue. Well, not exactly, but right up there. And but at the same time, like, what's the point of having two different factions, right? Like, you would go for the Horde because it had the Shaman, and the Alliance because it had the Paladin. Now they pretty much all had everything, right? Um, I do like, in case you guys have noticed right now, based on my previous videos and right now, I do like having a sense of unique character, right? I don't like everybody having the same class, the same spells, the same. It just, it's it's dull, I find. And I feel that the Burning Crusades, that's what they kind of took it to the next level. I mean, in Classic, you can kind of yo-yo your target to death if you're a warlock. If you're a rogue, you can kind of stun them to death. And each class had an easier time defeating certain classes and a harder time defeating other classes. It feels like in the Burning Crusade, they did increase that a little bit. They did kind of perfect it. Like the warlock was able to endure a lot more damage. You can self heal a lot better. The rogue got Cloak of Shadows, and so on and so forth. I'm not gonna go through all the classes at this moment because this video is just gonna be way too long. But I find that this is where they kind of perfected it. They took it to that next level. So there's a lot of great things that came out of the Burning Crusades, but at the same time, there's other things that I was a little bit more skeptical about. I am excited to play the game. I'm not looking forward to the attunement by far, and I'll go also in another video what I believe some of the best classes will be for the Burning Crusades, because they did have a lot of changes when it came to spells, DPS, healing, and everything. But these are my thoughts. Nobody really has to agree with me here, but these are my thoughts, what I believe are some of the pros and cons. Tell me what you guys think, if you agree with me or not. And thank you so much for watching. It's a pleasure having you guys on the channel again. Like it if you liked it. Subscribe for additional Warcraft info. Especially, I'll be trying to go through a little bit more when it comes to the Burning Crusades Classic. And until then, peace.